Hello, folks. Hi there. I'm going to take just a quick second to make sure I am actually live. Making sure I'm actually, there I am. All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Has this been an amazing week or what? I am so excited to be in this amazing group of people and to be chatting with you today about clutter. About clutter. My presentation today is called More Stuff, More Stress, How to Own Less and Enjoy Family Life More. It's something I feel really, really strongly about, that we are making our lives way too hard, way too hard. So my plan for today is to convince you that this clutter that you have in your house is not some neutral circumstance that is no big deal. It is an emergency that is making your life harder that we want to take care of right away. I also want to show you that decluttering does not take as long as you think. That it's not this overwhelming, impossible project for us to tackle. That this is something that is absolutely doable, even if we are in one of those really tough seasons of motherhood. We can do this. I want you to leave today feeling energized, like you know exactly what to do next, to get started, to get out of that sense of paralysis that we sometimes feel around projects that we consider to be big. And I love when these conversations, when these sorts of presentations rather, can be a two-way conversation. So I love that there was already a little heart that popped up. Hello. And please do feel free to ask questions, to make comments, or just to give a little thumbs up or a heart to let me know you're here. This is a two-way conversation. So first of all, give me, if you're watching this, give me a thumbs up in the chat if you feel like your home is a little bit more cluttered than you would like. Got a thumbs up right away. Love it. I think we all feel that way, right? Kids came with more stuff than what we were exactly expecting. And I feel like this is more noticeable after children, but I think this happens throughout our lives, that things change, we add another piece to our identities, but we keep all the stuff that we had before and just kind of add this other layer on top of it. And that is super noticeable after kids. Kids come with all these toys and clothes and furniture and stuff. So we're going to talk today about how to make a little more room and a little bit more space, and why we even want to. First of all, I am Anissa Orsino. I write this blog called Mama Goes Beyond, and I am passionate about helping my fellow moms simplify and declutter everything, optimize what is left so that we have the time and energy to care for ourselves, to have fun with our families, and to share our gifts and our sparkle with the world. Because let's face it, we have too many dead on our feet moms out there. Too many of us that are in this state of putting out fires, of responding to emergencies. We lose any sense of what makes life meaningful, of what makes life enjoyable even. And I was one of those dead on my feet moms. And, you know, by a stroke of luck, I say by a stroke of luck, and you'll be surprised in a second. By a stroke of luck, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. At age 37, I was 34 weeks pregnant. And while I was doing this, I was fortunate in that I had time. I had space. My parents moved in and helped us take care of the new baby and the 2-year-old that we already had at home. I had some help with things like cleaning my house and taking care of meals. And I started to really think, this is not the life that I want to be living. There has to be an easier way to do this. And I had the time and the space to look at putting some new systems into practice and making some new decisions for myself, to put some new routines into place and to start thinking about living a little bit bigger. For our family, what this culminated in was deciding to sell, donate, trash nearly everything in our 2,500 square foot house so that we could travel as a family for a while. And we did that. So I have some different insights than most people about stuff and about what it means to get rid of stuff. and I'm excited to share those with you. Yes, it was really hard getting rid of all that stuff, but the joy and the freedom that has resulted from that, even though we're settled back down in sort of a regular old suburban existence again, um, the joy and the freedom has continued, and I want that for you too. And what's so cool is that this getting rid of this stuff is just the first step in this process of simplification. Um, you start out simplifying this stuff, and that's hard. Let's be honest, it's a little tricky, but it's not nearly as hard as simplifying your calendar of all those commitments that you feel like you have to keep, or simplifying your to-do list of the things that you think you should do, or even worse, that other people think you should do and you're taking that on. It's simpler than cutting out those relationships that don't serve you, or those bogus thoughts that are in your head that are getting in the way and making your life worse. So we start out, we flex our decluttering muscles by decluttering physical things, and then we have the tools that we need to start simplifying the other stuff too. So let's talk about your home for a second. Your home is not just a building. It is, if you're a stay-at-home mom, it is your workplace. For any parent, it is your classroom. And ideally for all of us, it is our haven. It is the place where we're supposed to feel the most relaxed, the most calm, the most safe and protected from the world. Comment for me in the chat. Do you feel this way? Do you feel like your home is your haven? Or do we feel, I see one of our Facebook users here is saying, my house is more than a little bit cluttered. Oh, by the way, guys, if you want your name to appear, Ecamm needs permission to do that. At some point in the earlier in the week, it was added as one of the apps here, and it might ask you at some point to give permission, but that's okay. You can be an anonymous Facebook user. Yeah, so the houses are a little bit cluttered. This happens, right? And it doesn't feel like the haven that we want. Oh, Ellen says her home is so not a haven. Ellen, we can fix this. I want you to take away, if you take away nothing else from this presentation, let it be this. The items in your house are not neutral. If they are not actively making your life better, they are probably helping to make it worse. And Bianca is such a lovely, positive spirit. When she suggested, we were talking about what to do for presentations, she said, why don't we talk about how a decluttered home contributes to family harmony and, connectedness, and it's lovely. But I know that you have a normal human brain and that you are way more motivated to move away from pain than toward pleasure. So I am going to needle at you a little bit with all the reasons why your clutter is making your life worse. I have 9 different ways. So the first one is your clutter is making you stressed. This is not news to anybody, but studies have been done that show that women, mothers especially, who self-report that they feel like their homes are cluttered, when their hormone levels are tested, they have high levels of the stress hormone cortisol. Interestingly enough, it is not in your imagination that your husband and your kids don't care as much about the clutter. When they tested the rest of the people in the family, they're all fine. But we have high levels of cortisol. What does cortisol do? Gives you fatigue, irritability, weight gain, high blood pressure, low libido, headaches, anxiety. So this clutter is literally making you sick, basically, making you stressed and sick. It is physically altering your body chemistry. We should be able to just stop there and you run and declutter things, but I know we're used to putting up with stress. We can handle it. Let's talk about some other ways this is making life for you and your family worse. Number 2, it gives you more decisions to make. Scientists, I don't know how they do this, but they've estimated that we make 35,000 decisions over the course of a day, which is crazy when you think about it. But just think about this morning. You wake up. Do I get up now or do I hit the snooze button? Do I go feed the baby first or do I go get a cup of coffee first? I'm getting my coffee. Do I pick this coffee mug or that coffee mug? I mean, no wonder by the end of the day we are exhausted. This is all contributing to our sense of mental burnout. Um, Again, enough reason to just start decluttering right now, right? But number 3, when we have more stuff, our homes are harder to keep clean. Not just harder to keep tidy, um, although obviously, if you have more stuff, there's more stuff to put away, but harder to physically clean. If I'm in my kitchen and I've got the coffee maker and the Instant Pot and the toaster and yesterday's mail all up on the counter, when it's time to clean it, I'm either not doing it because it's just too much, or I'm having to physically lift things, move them out of the way before I can clean. If I can just walk in and have this lovely open, clean counter, just wipe it off. It's not only harder to keep things clean, it's harder to keep track of what we own and find the things that we own. How much time are you wasting looking for something? Or are you the person who's on top of it and you're spending all this time organizing the stuff that you have? Having to alphabetize things and put labels on bins and that sort of thing so that your stuff doesn't get lost. That's using your time too, making things harder. Number 5, it's more expensive. Often we can't find that thing that we're looking for after all, and so we go and we buy another one. Or maybe it's just that we need a bigger home. We couldn't live in a 2-bedroom house because we've got to have that extra bedroom for the stuff. We need a 3-car garage because the car doesn't fit in unless we have that extra space. Or maybe things have gotten so out of hand that we're now renting a storage unit to manage the extra stuff that we don't have space for. In addition to being more expensive, it's making your home less functional. We talked about maybe the car doesn't fit into the garage. Maybe you can't eat at your kitchen table because it's got stuff all over it. Maybe you don't feel comfortable having people over because it's too chaotic and it would take too long to clean it up. Maybe your kids don't have a playroom because the playroom ends up being a storage room. We want your home to be functional, to work for you, rather than just be a storage space for all your stuff. Number 7, having the stuff can make you sad. It can make you sad. A lot of times we see things that are around and we don't consciously register it. But when I walk in my closet and I see that pair of jeans that I used to be able to wear before I had 2 babies, and it's sitting there talking to me and saying, you ever gonna be a size 6 again? I go look at that treadmill that's in the basement and I think, I really thought I was gonna use that. I spent $1,000 on that. It was supposed to help me fit in those jeans that are upstairs. And it's making me feel bad looking at this stuff. It's making me feel guilty. It's making me feel uncomfortable. Number 8, it's preventing your special things from being truly special. Oh, someone is resonating with the fact that, Katrina says it's a conservative estimate that we have 35,000 thoughts in a day. And yeah, people are resonating with the idea that we don't want people to come over because, we got to clean up for company. We recognize the jeans. Everybody has that pair of jeans that you think, oh, come on. Don't I really wish I still fit in those. Maybe I will someday. I'm going to hold on to them just in case. Number 8, all this stuff is keeping your special things from being truly special. We save this stuff thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to keep all these papers that all these pictures that my son drew because they're all so sweet. They're special. They mean a lot to me. And then they sit in a box. And then they're not special. Nobody ever looks at them. They're just that irritating box in the basement. Whereas counterintuitively, if we went through this stuff and purged a little bit of it, we might be able to display one of those drawings and really make it something, make it a conversation piece in our home, make it a focal point in our office and something that made us smile. Number 9, it's harder to focus, harder to be creative, harder to be productive because we're living in this constant state of visual distraction. And this is not just you. This is you and this is your kids too. As I said at the beginning, moms are affected the most. And this makes sense Because not only are we the people that are spending all the time there, but we're also the people, for better or worse, that are culturally sort of expected to be the people that maintain it. So we have an extra level of shame and of discomfort and kind of guilt around it. But all this stuff is affecting our kids too. The kids are getting that decision fatigue. The kids are finding it hard to keep things clean. And you know, they're the ones who are learning about how to keep a home tidy and what to do with their stuff and how to treat things. And they're maybe not learning the lessons that they could be learning. They're having a harder time finding their things. They're not able to function in their home the way that they want to and that you want them to. They're not being able to appreciate their truly special things. And they're having this struggle focusing, being creative, being productive in the way that we all want them to. So I hope that if nothing else, if not for you, that I have convinced you that for you and for your kids, this is worth it. Let's imagine the opposite. Let's imagine what your home could be like if it was this haven, if it was this functional space, if it was something that felt like you could use it, and that it wasn't contributing to your stress, but that this was the place that you relaxed at the end of the day. I think we all want that, right? I'm just going to check in for a second. I read some of the comments earlier that some of these things are resonating with you guys. If there's anything else that particularly resonated with you, do feel free anytime to check in by chat and comment. I love it that the comments are coming through. I'm not going to leave you high and dry here. Not going to leave you high and dry. Decluttering is not as hard as you think. We're going to talk about how to build a decluttering habit and just make this a part of your life going forward. But first, we're going to have to talk for a second about the fantasy version of you. Because I'm guessing if you're anything like me, you have a fantasy version of you. Fantasy me is super productive, super motivated. Fantasy version of me wakes up on Saturday morning with like loads of time and then chooses wisely to use that time for things like cleaning out my closet. And I'm not exactly sure when fantasy version of me is going to show up, but I am sure she's coming. And I used to spend a lot of time waiting around for her and thinking something was wrong with me because I knew that I should be the type of person that does this, but I just wasn't. But I knew I was going to be someday. Does that, do you recognize this person? That right now your life is super busy, right now you've got fires to put out, right now kids need you, but someday you're going to be able to do this other thing. We do that, we sit around and we wait for that person. And we discount the power that we have right now to put in tiny little bits of effort that we can repeat again and again. In a minute, I'm going to suggest that you start out by decluttering for only 10 minutes at a time. And you're going to say, this woman is crazy. I'll be 97 before my home is decluttered. But don't shut your brain off yet. If you are decluttering for 10 minutes a day, at the end of a week, you've decluttered for 70 minutes. At the end of a month, you've decluttered for 5 hours. And at the end of a year, you've decluttered for 60 hours. And this, Ellen resonates with the fantasy version. Yes, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Thanks for not leaving me hanging out there alone, Ellen. Yeah, so rather than waiting for Fantasy S to show up, why not start with something small, even something that feels like it's too small, and start building that momentum. And what's really cool is that we're not only building that momentum, but we're starting to create pockets of time for ourselves. The only way that we can really create time, right, is by putting in systems that make our lives easier. So if I'm going in and clearing out things that I normally have to clean around, if I'm going out and purging some of the stuff in my junk drawer so that the next time I go in and look for those scissors, they're right on top, and I don't spend 5 minutes looking for them, I am creating time for myself. It's super exciting. So if you are ready to declutter, here is what I suggest. The first thing I'm going to suggest is that you choose your why. You choose your why. And in all of my decluttering resources, I always suggest the first thing you do, even though you're super motivated and ready to go, is that you stop and think. Why am I doing this? It seems like a goofy first step. It seems like a motivation and momentum killer, except that you're going to be all gung-ho at the beginning. And then things are going to get tough at some point. Even if you're doing this easy, 10 minutes at a time, you're going to hit a wall. There's going to be a day where you don't even feel like you can do 10 minutes. But even worse, there's going to be that time that it gets emotionally gut-wrenching. We don't have time to talk about this a whole lot today, but one of the reasons that decluttering is so hard is that you have to confront these ideas and these feelings that you have about scarcity, about guilt, about fear of the future, about regret, about these past identities that we talked about at the beginning that you're piling on top of as you're bringing more stuff into your home. That gets hard. And if you have a solid why, you can push through those things. If you don't, it gets tricky. I already talked about my why. My why was this. We wanted to get our possessions down from the 2,500 square foot home to 8 suitcases, and we ended up having 8 tubs that we stored with different family members. And this was a pretty constricting why. So it meant, for example, when I was standing holding my son's baby blanket and crying about the fact that I was going to have to let it go because it was something that I loved. It was something that the boys had used recently to build a fort. If I went by the traditional decluttering questions, this was something to keep. But going by my why, it wasn't going in the suitcase. It wasn't one of the very most important possessions that was going to go with family. And so I was able to donate it. And I can tell you that was 3 years ago. Life has gone on. I have not missed the baby blanket. I have photos of it. It's all okay. So I ask you, what is your why? If you would like to, you are welcome to share it in the chat. You might have something really obvious, like what we had with, that we wanted to travel. We were pretty constricted as far as space. You might have something else obvious like that, like I would like to declutter because we're having another baby soon. We need this room to be the nursery. Or you might have something a little bit more touchy-feely. Like I want my home to feel nicer. I want to be able to eat dinner at the table with my family. I want my kids to have more space to play. All of those count as whys, but make sure that it's something that feels like it tugs at your heartstrings a little bit so that it's strong enough so that when you hit that wall, you're not tempted to just go, oh, it doesn't matter. It's fine. I'll just keep it. All right. Oh, I love this. Okay, so here's a why. I'd like to focus on creating things instead of managing all this stuff. I love it. That's one of my whys for you. Is yes, you have important work to do in the world. Managing a life is not a life. We're designed to live bigger than that, I think. So yes, I love it. I got little chill bumps thinking about your why. That's fantastic. Yes, so something big like that is motivating. That gets you excited to get up and do it. All right, so now you know your why. You got some motivation to go. Now we're gonna put a decluttering habit into place. We're gonna decide where to start. Oh, I have to do this one too. We got another good why. I want more time just being with my family and to be able to relax at the end of the day. How beautiful is that? I love that. See, and that's what's gonna get you excited. That's what's gonna get you motivated. So now we're gonna decide where to start. And people like me make that super easy for you. I have a declutter jumpstart that I will share in the chat afterward if it's not in there yet. And it's got a bingo card. This bingo card has 25 different areas that you can declutter on it. And I'm not starting with your kid's baby blanket. I'm nicer than that. We go through really easy things like the expired medications in your medicine cabinet and the stuff in your purse. You know, the easier kind of things. Because remember, we're building those decluttering muscles and we're starting that decluttering habit. In addition to the bingo card, there is a roulette wheel that you can unlock that has 150 things on it that are low pressure things that you can declutter right now. Things like promotional t-shirts that we get, that we all save. I don't know why we do that, but we save them. Other people could be using these things and benefiting from them, and it would be making your life easier to get them out. So we flex our decluttering muscles on these easy things to start with. At the end of the declutter jumpstart that I have, I will direct you toward setting your own priorities for the places that you feel like, you know, need the most clearing out. But we're going to start with no-brainer stuff. We're making it easy. And in order to make a habit, we have lots of research that we've done. Really smart people have done on habit formation. Oh, thank you for sharing the Declutter Jumpstart. Lots of smart people have done research on habit formation. We know that the easiest way, number one, your brain is desperate to make things into habits. It's doing too much work during the day. It wants it to be easy. But the way that it solidifies habits, doing things that are easy, doing things that are fun, and thinking of them as something that it likes to do, basically. So we make the task small. We do 10 minutes to start. Your brain will not be able to argue much about 10 minutes, even if you're in that phase of life where you're like feeding the baby every 10 minutes and catching puke in your hands and stuff. You probably still can find 10 minutes. You're going through really quickly and easily. Keep, toss, put away, not making big decisions. If it needs a decision, we're moving past it. We're saving it for later. You're making it fun. How do we make it fun? We make little rewards for ourselves while we're in this process. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I have a nice candle burning. That's a little reward. Maybe you put on a great playlist. Maybe you get a cup of your favorite tea. Maybe you promise yourself that afterward you're gonna guilt-free scroll TikTok for 5 minutes or something. Find a way to reward yourself and make it pleasurable. This is for that lizard part in the back of your brain that's not as smart as the real you, that associates pleasurable things with things it wants to do again. Then we're also going to celebrate the heck out of the end. When you are done, maybe you took a before picture, take your after picture and celebrate a little bit. Tell yourself, you go girl, give yourself a high five. It feels goofy, but again, this isn't for the smart brain. This is for the lizard brain. This is for the primitive brain. We want it to say, decluttering is easy. Decluttering is kind of fun, and I'm nice to myself when I declutter. Let's do this tomorrow. So that you can build that 70 minutes at the end of the week, that 5 hours by the end of the month, that 60 hours by the end of the year. And then you repeat this forever. I would love it if I could just say, yeah, and then you're done. I have to be honest, after I did my what I call my radical decluttering and got rid of nearly everything I owned, I thought I was done. Like, this is great. You know, all you suckers will be dealing with your stuff, and I'll be over here on Easy Street not having clutter anymore. That has not been the case. I will tell you, I've been in hotel rooms and Airbnbs and, you know, places where I hardly owned anything, and it was still cluttered because we still have to keep those habits in place. But you start to get this lifestyle of thinking, is this bringing closer to my why, or is this bringing me farther away? When you start talking with people about the culture in your family around gifts, that starts to change. You know, start to say, maybe I should have that conversation about let's do something together as a family instead of buying Christmas presents this year. When you go shopping, you start to think, okay, I got this new shirt. Now I'm going into my decluttered closet. Where does this fit? What's going? You know, what am I going to let go? What is this replacing? Or if it's not replacing anything, if I don't really need it, maybe it can just go back to the store. It becomes a permanent lifestyle alteration. Things do get easier, but you're never done. But you're starting this process of making room for what isn't essential, or getting rid of what isn't essential so that you can make room for what is essential. And then when you can start doing this with stuff, you can start to do this in every other area of your life, and the tendrils just spread out. As I said at the beginning, my wish for you is what some of you guys said were your own whys. That I want you to have the time and energy that you need to care for yourself. That's vital. Care for yourself first. To have fun with your families. We've got these great kids, and we don't have the time or the energy to even enjoy them. And I want you to share your unique gifts with the world. I know that you have at least one important creative project if you're watching this. You have kids that you are raising, and that is important, creative, vital work, helping to raise these humans. But I suspect you have other gifts to give us as well. And so please stop wasting your time digging through your stuff, simplify this stuff, make your life better so that you can get on to the business of living. And if you need help, I'm here for you. As I said, we have the Declutter Jumpstart, and I also am going to open it up for questions here if you have anything that you want to put in the comments. I know we have just touched on the very basics today, but if you have specific items, if you've started decluttering already, you're a little bit further along this path and you're finding something in particular that's really causing you to hit a wall, feel free to ask questions. I am here for you. The Declutter Jumpstart, incidentally, as I said, it helps you set your why. It has the Declutter Bingo card, which is 25 specific tasks that you can check off. That's a reward. That's also a celebration. So we're building that habit. There's the Declutter Roulette Wheel, which has 150 things that you can get rid of right now. Then it's going to help you set your decluttering priorities. Then if you get through that stage and you feel like you want a little bit more help, the free resource that is for all you folks that get the Superwoman Power Pass, that is my declutter planner. And it goes through prep work, decluttering and donating, selling your stuff, and then putting in habits that will support you going into the future so that you have sort of a permanent decluttered lifestyle. So if that sounds interesting to you, as I said, you can get it as one of your bonuses in the Superwoman Power Pack. Okay, we have a question here. What is the first room or area that you recommend decluttering? So I feel like you can go a couple of different directions with this. I always like to say, whatever your process is, your home is unique, you are unique, you know what works for you. But typically, there are a couple of things that work best. You can either start with someplace like the bathroom. In fact, the bathroom is a good place because it's very rare that in the bathroom you are going to encounter those things that bring up that, you know, the true heart-wrenching decluttering moments. You know, your mom's wedding dress is not going to be in your bathroom unless, you know, you have a different organizational system than some of us. But typically those are some low pressure things that you can declutter. You know, you go in, you get rid of that, the expired medication, you get rid of the makeup that got gummy and you just kind of forgot about it. You make some space in there. And again, as I said, you're building those decluttering muscles. You're getting used to making those decisions, doing that. You're seeing how that looks better and gets more functional, and it builds your motivation. The other thing that you can do is go to the place that's bugging you the most. When I have you set your decluttering priorities in the decluttering planner, that's one of the things one of the questions that I have, which is, you know, this place is really bugging me the most. Because if it's that I cannot live another day not being able to eat dinner at my kitchen table, then maybe that's the place that you want to go first. And just clear that off, make that sense of oasis and calm. Again, that can build your motivation. And so it's really up to you. But I do caution you that if the place that is bugging you the most is also some place that just feels overwhelming because of, you know, the emotions that come up as you go in there, give yourself a little bit of space maybe to build up some skills first so you don't get discouraged and then, feel like, oh, I'm just going to quit. This is too hard. Because that could definitely happen. Um, let's see here. We'll get rid of this one. The next question is, what about kids' toys? Oh, yes, kids' toys. So, um, kids' toys, of course, are challenging. And I will say, full disclosure, we have way more toys than I would like us to have. It was so lovely when we were traveling. The kids each had this little container for Legos, and they each had a couple of little Hot Wheels cars, and then they would do lovely things like take all the clothespins and make them into swords and battle each other, and it was nice. And now we have a million Legos and more Hot Wheels cars than we need, and that sort of thing. So this is, I will give my thoughts while saying this is not something that I totally have figured out. I do believe that if kids are over the age of, say, 3 or 4, that they deserve to be consulted about their stuff, whether or not something is tossed or kept. I know it's much easier to just go in and, while they're taking a nap or whatever, clear all that stuff out. But I think, number one, we're hoping to build skills in them of being able to see what's important, to curate their collection, to choose the most special thing, so that, if everything is special, nothing is special. We want to teach them that skill. We also want to help cultivate in them the spirit of, sharing things with people who might need it more than we do. All those sorts of things. We can teach some really good lessons while we're decluttering. So we have in our house, we're a member of a homeschool group that once a quarter has a swap. And so our system now, we give basically everything to our friends in the swap. And so we will go through when the swap is coming up and say, is there anything here that you could share with your friends in the homeschool group that you're not playing with as much anymore? We also will go through before holidays or before birthdays and say, usually we get some new things when Christmas comes up. It feels like it's getting a little stuffed in here, doesn't it? You won't really have a place to put anything new. So is there anything that you're not playing with as much? And it's funny. My dad actually pointed out recently. He overheard my son saying, "I can tell I don't need any more Legos, Mom. I don't have a place to put the Legos that I have. My shelf where I put all my builds is full." And he said, "How do you get him to do that?" And I said, they hear me say this all the time. I'm not buying a new shirt. My hanging space in my closet is full. I have a place where I organize my jewelry. No, I'm not getting any more earrings. The earring section is almost full. Children are going to repeat what they see. And so I think, you setting this example for them of curating a collection, of, deciding what is truly important, they will respond to that too. Maybe not right away, but eventually. Let's see here. My struggle is consistency due to migraines. I make progress, I get a migraine, I'm down for a few days, and in the meantime, my family creates more mess, and I feel like progress is null, leads to frustration and never seeing an end in sight. Ugh. I feel that. I also suffered from migraines, so I know the feeling of that and just the absolute debilitation. And I think a lot of us can relate to this. Sorry if you can hear the trash truck outside making enormous noise. I think a lot of us can relate to this frustration, even if we don't have migraines that we suffer from. But just this sense of that it just constantly feels like you're pushing a rock up a hill, or like you're walking on a treadmill, that nothing ever moves. You're constantly doing stuff and there's no progress. So first of all, I think it's important that we distinguish between clutter and mess. One of the habits that we have in my family that helps to keep things looking more tidy is our family 10-minute pickup. we do this when the children were smaller. I used to do this at multiple times during the day. I would do it before nap time. I would do it before dinner time. I would do it again at bedtime, just going through and picking things up. But, of teaching your kids, teaching your family every day before we go to bed, we have this ritual where we take 10 minutes and we quickly put as many things away as we can. That we are, if your toys are out, you're putting it back. If your shoes are out, you're putting them in the closet. For our family, we like to put on music. We like to make it a competition. My boys are 10 and 8, and they're super competitive, so they like anything if it's like, who can clean up their room the fastest, or who can, pick up the most things in 10 minutes, or I bet you can't do it before this song is over. So that's how we make it fun. But also cultivating that spirit, not just at the end of the day, but teaching them that, okay, if we're playing a card game and now we're going to go build with Legos, we put the card game away first. Teaching that skill. We don't instinctively have that skill. I don't always have that skill even now, to finish this one thing, to clean it up and put it away before we move on to the next thing. So that's the first thing, working with your family on, even little kids as small as, say, 2 or 3 can put a toy back in a basket. No, they're not going to do it great at first, but building this skill with them when they're small will ensure that they do it better as they get older. I can tell you my kids right now are pretty darn good at picking up when they are asked to do so. They don't always remember to do it themselves. We're experimenting with a checklist on the fridge now, so that they know that it's part of their day to do that 10-minute pickup without me reminding them. I'll let you know how it goes. But yeah, so first of all, that's not always necessarily clutter. That's just stuff that's not put away. But also this sense of, consistency and motivation, that's tough for all of us. And I think for me, it has helped realizing that this isn't going to be done. The purpose is not that I'm going to get to the end and have this, marvelously decluttered house that is perfect forever, but that this is finding a system that works for me and maintaining it and making this a lifestyle, so that, as I start to get rid of things, things do become easier. The temptation is always going to be to continue to add stuff. You go to Target, you see something that's cool. Somebody gives you a gift and you think, oh, I suppose I should keep this forever. What if she comes over and sees it? That stuff is going to keep happening. But if you've got this strong why in your head, if you've got this motivation for constantly keeping up on it, and if you realize that it's not a destination, it's never going to be finished, it makes it a little bit easier to start to just say, okay, I'm still far away, but I'm on the journey, and I'm always going to be on the journey. And so for this, I'm sorry that you're a Facebook user. For this lovely woman, first of all, talking with your family about keeping up with helping you keep things tidy, and not helping you. I hate the language of helping you. Being family members that contribute to their family, not helping you, but being contributing members of the family, part of the solution rather than part of the problem, and helping to keep things tidy, but also knowing that this journey is never over, that you're going to just put in your 10 minutes today, and that anything that you did made it a little bit better, and just not getting discouraged. That is something that's really, really hard. And like I said, it would be nice if we were done. Okay, I love this. So yes, there's someone who likes the swap idea. The homeschool swap is fantastic. And you know what? It takes away some of those questions. I think a lot of times when we're donating, some things happen. Number one, things feel really, really hard to donate. Maybe because they were expensive, or because we really love them. And you're just giving them away, and that feels hard. But if we can give them to someone that we know will use them, that is in the same stage of life as we are. We've even seen, you know, we go to the pool with our homeschool friends and we see one of the kids in one of my kids' old swimsuits, and it just makes you smile that you can actually see who's getting the good out of it. And I think that makes it feel a little bit easier. That's actually one of my big tips for if you're finding donating hard because things, you don't want to let go of it because it's yours. A lot of times one of the things that feels easier is donating in such a way that you can see who's getting the good out of it and actually see the joy that it's bringing to someone else. So the swap is fantastic. The other thing about the swap is sometimes when we go to donate things, we donate things that really should be trashed. But we feel so guilty about sending stuff to the landfill that we take it to Goodwill and then they have more work trashing it for us. So when you are actually donating to another human that you know personally, you're a lot less likely to put that junky thing in there, that you can recognize that it's completed its life cycle and trash it if it needs to be trashed. And if you don't have a homeschool group, I would recommend looking for, a lot of neighborhoods have what's called a buy nothing group. A lot of these will hook up on Facebook. There's Nextdoor, which in addition to having all your neighborhood gossip, has a for sale and free section. You can donate things there. And sometimes donating things that you're not really sure, you know, does anybody want my promotional t-shirts? Well, maybe in your neighborhood, there's someone who's a house painter and needs, you know, throwaway t-shirts and would be delighted to get those. And then you don't have to just throw them away. You don't have to make them someone's problem at the Salvation Army or the Goodwill, but you can give them to someone who can actually use them and see them actually getting excited about them. Here is a user who says she does a refresh every night with her son. I call it the 10-minute pickup. The refresh is the same thing. This idea that before we go to bed, we are cultivating this, this system in our family of we put everything back to rights. Because boy, is it nice to wake up in the morning and go downstairs and everything looks clean and ready for the day. I will not say that I am the best, tidiest housekeeper in the world, but you better believe my dishes. That is my one thing. I cannot walk in the kitchen in the morning and see last night's dirty dishes. So that's always what I am doing during that last 10-minute blast. The kids are running around and picking up toys and putting shoes back in the closet and that sort of thing. And if I have not done it yet, I'm getting my dishes out of the sink and making sure the kitchen is clean. And Ellen says that she is going to work on a routine of family cleanup daily. Yeah, and like I said, if you are in a season where the kids are just tornadoes, I'm thankful that I'm sort of getting out of that season. But you know, where they just, you know, they take out the blocks and then they take out the cars and then they take out this. You could do this refresh multiple times a day. You can do, okay, it's almost time for nap. Let's pick this up. Or if they're too small to do it, then you tidy it up for a second at nap time and get yourself that little bit of visual calm and visual space, and lower those cortisol levels in yourself. You know, if you make it to where it's a pretty easy system, where it's just bins, buckets, you know, toy boxes, that kind of thing, where they can just toss it in, it makes it really easy. We still have for the Legos a mat that you can get on Amazon that is it opens up flat, the Legos sit in it, and then when you're done, you pull a drawstring and all the Legos go into a bag. And, you know, it would be nice if they were separated, you know, by color in little bins, but they would never get picked up that way. So we do this really easy, simple, our library used to do for the kids' toys, they would have a picture on the side of the bin of what toy went in there. The library had a really nice a family playroom. And so if it was blocks, there was a picture of the blocks on the side. So even the smallest kid can match up. Oh, blocks go in this bin, there's a picture of blocks on it. You could do something simple like that in your house and make it easy for the kids to do the cleanup instead of you. All right. So guys, any other questions? Any other comments. I hope you are pumped to go and start decluttering in your home. On my blog, I always like to do a do it now so that, you know, because we all like to read this inspirational stuff, to watch this inspirational stuff, and we feel kind of fired up, but then, you know, life gets in the way. We got stuff to do. We are still putting out those fires and responding to the emergencies. So here's what you can do right now. You can click on the link that is in the chat and download the Jumpstart. Find your why if it wasn't something that you found today and shared in the chat. Take 10 minutes to go to one of those bingo squares, one that sounds easy, cross it off. As I said, I made teensy tiny little tasks that I was hoping that would be super easy to cross off in just 10 minutes or so. Make sure that you are making it pleasurable while you're doing it, and make sure that you celebrate the heck out of it afterward, because we are trying to build this habit for you. We are tricking your lizard brain into doing something that your smart brain wants to do, but cultivating it into a habit and something pleasurable. So let's do that. I am so excited that I got the opportunity to talk to you today. I hope that what I shared was helpful. As I said, my vision for you is to be somebody that is able to share your sparkle with the world. We need those gifts that only you have. So let's stop with just maintaining this life and let's go grab it and make it bigger, okay? Thank you so much, you guys.